Hey guys, welcome back to The Realty, where we are dishing you the realty on all things real estate and life. Today we are going to touch on another question from Tristan in California. Thank you again for another fabulous question. And that is, why do appraisals always seem to meet the offer price almost perfectly? Amy, why don't you give us your insight on this one?
Sure, I'd like to. So my feelings on appraisers are, appraisers look at the same comparables that we do as realtors. Their motivation for the appraisal, I feel, is different from ours. Ours is to get top dollar for our sellers, and theirs is just to make sure that the bank isn't overpaying for a home. But essentially, they're going to pull comps within the last year, just like we do. They look at the MLS, they look at pretty much the same amenities criteria that we look at. And sometimes if they can't find comps, I've had appraisers call me and just ask, hey, what comparables did you use? How did you get to the price you got to? So yeah, we like to be on the same page as appraisers, for sure. And just making sure that we're all looking at the same comparables.
I think that's a really good sign of a good appraiser is when they call the agent. I had a very difficult property listed, and I mean, there was 3,000 unfinished square feet. And that one, the appraiser actually called me and, asked me, how'd you price this one? Are there any upgrades? And I mean, he was fabulous to work with. He did a great job, but it took him a long time because he didn't have the comparables. So he did have to spend all of that time. But I feel like once they have found the comps and everything to at least meet the purchase price of the property, they've done their job. They've made the bank aware that it's okay to lend on this loan, like you're not overpaying. Tessa, do you have any insight?
Well, I'd just like to back up for a quick moment, if you guys don't mind. Basically, what is an appraisal, right? So typically when you refinance or a buyer is buying a home with a mortgage, we need an appraisal done. And that's like what Sam and Amy were saying. Basically to tell the bank, yes, you can lend out this much money. And so typically you have a purchase agreement, we go through the inspection process, and then the lender sends out an appraiser that is typically paid for by the buyer. So in to both of your points, absolutely. Appraisers are wonderful, and they are using the same comps that we are. Sometimes they're not. And so I think as listing agents, it's very, some appraisers actually do like it when we're like, here's our comps, this is what we think, this is what we did, this is how we're comparing it, this is where we arrived at the price we arrived at. And I think it can be helpful for them.
Yeah, I think it's all about teamwork, on the end goal.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Especially, it's nice to have a lender too that uses not the same appraisers, but they use a panel of appraisers. So they know that they're versed in that area. So they know they are literally the experts.
Right.
So they're best covered there. But yeah, I mean, Tristan, I hope that answered your question. Once they meet that purchase price, it's all they needed to do. And if they go above and beyond, why the heck not?
Because it's instant equity for the buyers, which is always a great thing, right? And I think Amy was mentioning this. When we go and price a house for comps to arrive at a list price, that's the ultimate end game, right? We want the appraiser to meet that or exceed it because of the comps that we're looking at and the comps that they're looking at. And so that's typically how they arrive very close to what's in the contract.
Yeah. It's also extremely important for a lot of people do come to the realtors for the pricing, but some do have a price in mind as well. But again, going back to teamwork, it really comes down to like everyone coming together. Let's take a look at the comps. How do we compare these to each other, and having that conversation and helping the sellers understand the appraisal process too, because it's not just something that we can throw a price out there and it's just gonna fly.
Right.
There's a chance that it might not. So super important to work with your realtor and dive into those comps, especially.
And don't be afraid to ask questions too. I mean, that's our job. I mean, in the end, it's our job to keep everyone educated on that. So yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you guys very much for joining us. Be sure to tune in tonight at 4 p.m. for Diva Happy Hour. We're going to be touching on our favorite restaurants and stuff. Oh my gosh, this is going to be great. Be sure to tune in. See you guys tonight.
Bye.
And we'll have a special guest with us tonight.
Yes, we do. That's true. Yes. That is very true. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.